Commander Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Resilience, watching the stars through the large window. The ship had been traveling for 3 months, looking for new worlds where humans could live. Earth was getting crowded, and people needed new places to call home. "Sir, we're getting strange signals," said Officer Yuna Park from her station. She was young but very smart with computers and alien technology. "Something big is coming our way." Dae-ho walked over to look at her screen. The signals were unlike anything they had seen before. They were organized, powerful, and clearly made by intelligent beings. This was it, humanity's first contact with aliens. "Wake everyone up," Dae-ho ordered, "and send a message to Earth. Tell them we found something." Far away on a massive alien warship, Sub-Commander Talvek studied the human vessel. The ship was small and weak compared to Vorthak technology. These humans looked like easy prey, but something bothered him. He had seen this before with other species. The weak ones often surprised you. "War Prime Gethnor," Talvek said to his commander, "maybe we should learn more about these creatures before we attack." Gethnor laughed. He was huge, even for a Vorthak with thick armor and scars from many battles. "Look at their tiny ship, Talvek. They are nothing. We will crush them like all the others." Talvek remembered the Kellery people. They had fought for 10 years before falling to the Vorthak Empire. Even weak species could cause problems if you were not careful. But Gethnor never listened to warnings. On Earth, Dr. Yuna Park's sister, Dr. Min Jung Park, worked at the Xenobiology Institute. She was studying the alien signals that the Resilience had sent back. Captain Wu Jin Lee sat next to her, watching the strange patterns on the screen. "What do you think they want?" Wu Jin asked. "I don't know," Min Jung said. "But these signals are very advanced. Whoever made them has technology far beyond ours." The alien message came 3 hours later. It was simple and clear, translated by the ship's computers. The voice was cold and mechanical. "Small creatures of the third planet, you will surrender your worlds to the Vorthak Empire. You will serve us or you will die. You have 1 rotation of your planet to decide." President Min-ho Choi sat in the emergency meeting room with his advisors. Everyone was quiet as they listened to the message again. Earth's entire military could not match even one of the alien ships they had detected. "What are our options?" the president asked. General Tae Hyun-yu, head of Earth's military, shook his head. "We have 50 combat ships. They have over 3,000. Our weapons might not even scratch their armor. So we surrender?" asked Minister So Young-nam. The room fell silent. Outside, people on Earth continued their normal lives, not knowing that everything was about to change. Back in space, Commander Dae-ho sent a message to the alien ship. "We are peaceful explorers. We don't want to fight. Can we talk about this?" Gethnor received the message and laughed again. "They want to talk. How amusing." He opened a channel to the human ship. "There is nothing to discuss, small creature. Surrender or be destroyed. We need time to contact our leaders," Dae-ho said. "You have the time we gave you. Use it wisely." On the Vorthak ship, Talvek studied everything they could learn about humans. He read about their history, their wars, their culture. What he found worried him. These creatures had fought each other for thousands of years. They had survived ice ages, diseases, and disasters that would have destroyed other species. "War Prime," he said to Gethnor, "I think we should be more careful. These humans have a long history of fighting. They don't give up easily." "All species fight," Gethnor replied. "But when they face the Vorthak Empire, they learn to kneel. These humans will be no different." The United Earth Assembly met in emergency session. Representatives from every nation argued about what to do. Some wanted to negotiate. Others wanted to fight. Many wanted to surrender and hoped the aliens would be merciful. President Choi stood up. "I know we are afraid. I know our chances are small. But I have studied history, and I know one thing about human beings. We are at our best when things look worst." "But President," said Representative Jin Woo Lee, "they will destroy our cities. Millions will die. And if we surrender, we will live as slaves," Choi replied. "Our children will never know freedom. Is that life worth living?" Engineer So Young-nam was already working at Luna Station, humanity's largest shipyard. She had heard the news and started preparing even before the official decision. Workers moved quickly, building new ships and weapons. They all knew it was probably hopeless, but they worked anyway. "How long do we have?" asked her assistant Kyung-ho Shin. "Not long enough," So Young replied. "But we'll do what we can." The vote came at sunset. Every nation on Earth had one choice: surrender to the aliens or fight for their freedom. The result was unanimous. Every single representative voted to fight. President Choi sent the message to space. To the Vorthak Empire: we reject your demand for surrender. Earth and all human worlds will remain free. If you want our planets, you will have to take them by force. When Gethnor received the message, he was furious. Impossible. No weak species dares to refuse the Vorthak Empire. Talvek felt cold fear in his stomach. He had hoped the humans would be smart enough to surrender. Now there would be war, and something told him it would not be as easy as Gethnor believed. That night, as both sides prepared for battle, Talvek made a personal log entry. The humans have chosen war over slavery. There is something in their message, something in their defiance that troubles me greatly. I fear we are about to learn why this species survived so long on a dangerous world. I fear we are about to discover what happens when you threaten creatures who would rather die than kneel. The war was coming, and neither side truly understood what they were about to face. 6 months after the first contact, the Vorthak invasion fleet arrived at Titan Station. Admiral Kyung-ho Shin watched from his command ship as enemy vessels filled the space around Saturn's moon. He counted 200 alien ships against his 12 human vessels. The odds were impossible, but he had his orders. All ships, this is Admiral Shin, he spoke into his radio. Today we make our stand. We may not win, but we will show these aliens that humans do not break easily. Lieutenant Hae-Jin Yang sat in her fighter craft, ready for launch. She was young, only 23, but she had trained for this moment her entire life. Around her, 40 other pilots waited for the order to attack. Remember, she told her squadron, we're not just fighting for Titan. We're fighting for every human who will come after us. Make every shot count. The battle began when the Vorthak ships opened fire. Their weapons were powerful, cutting through human shields like paper. 3 human ships exploded in the first minute, but the humans fought back. Admiral Shin ordered his ships to move fast and stay close to the alien fleet. The human ships were smaller and quicker. They could hide between the bigger alien vessels and attack from unexpected angles. Launch all fighters, Shin commanded. Hee-jin's fighter shot out of the hangar with the others. The space around them was full of laser beams and explosions. She flew her small ship between the huge Vorthak vessels, firing at their weak spots. I'm hit, called pilot Jun-Ho Park over the radio. His fighter was burning, but he kept flying toward an alien ship. I'm going to ram their bridge. Jun-Ho, no. Hee-jin screamed, but it was too late. Park's fighter crashed into the alien command center, destroying both ships in a ball of fire. The battle continued for hours. Human ships died one by one, but they took alien vessels with them. Every human pilot and gunner fought until their ship was destroyed or their weapons ran out of power. Hae-jin's fighter was damaged, leaking air and losing power. She could have retreated to the space station, but she saw the Vorthak flagship preparing to destroy Titan Station with its main weapon. This is Lieutenant Yang, she said over the radio. I'm making a run at their flagship. Tell my family I died fighting. She pushed her damaged fighter to maximum speed, heading straight for the alien command ship. Enemy weapons hit her fighter again and again. Her cockpit cracked, and space tried to pull the air from her lungs. The fighter exploded just before reaching the flagship, but Hee-jin had ejected. She floated in space wearing only her spacesuit, but she was not done fighting. She pulled out her plasma rifle and started shooting at the alien ship's sensors. The Vorthak were confused. Why was this tiny human still fighting? Her ship was gone. Her weapons were almost useless against their armor, and she would die in minutes when her air ran out. But she kept shooting. Hee-jin died still pulling the trigger of her rifle, floating in the cold darkness of space. When the Vorthak found her body later, they were amazed. Even in death, her hand was locked around her weapon. On Mars Colony, Governor Jae-sung Park received the news about Titan Station. All 12 human ships were destroyed, but they had taken 60 alien vessels with them. It was a terrible loss, but also a victory of sorts. They're coming here next, said Chief Engineer Bong-sik Han. We have maybe 2 days before they arrive. Governor Park looked at the colonists around him. These were not soldiers. They were miners, farmers, scientists, and their families, but they were also human. We won't surrender, Park said. We'll make them pay for every street, every building, every room. The colonists worked day and night. They built traps and bombs. They turned mining equipment into weapons. Engineer Han showed them how to rig the fusion reactor to explode if the aliens took the colony. When the Vorthak fleet arrived at Mars, they expected quick surrender. Instead, they found every human settlement ready for war. The colonists had no warships, but they had turned their entire colony into a weapon. The aliens landed their troops and began taking the colony building by building. But every door was trapped. Every hallway was filled with hidden explosives. Every room contained humans willing to die rather than surrender. Miner Ki-Dong Lee used his drilling equipment to attack alien soldiers. Teacher Hae Young Moon led children to safety while firing a rifle at enemy troops. Dr. Yu Jin Song treated wounded colonists while aliens bombed the hospital around her. Engineer Han waited in the reactor room as alien soldiers came closer. He had rigged the entire power plant to explode with enough force to destroy half the colony and any aliens in it. For Earth, he whispered, and pushed the button. The explosion was seen from orbit. It killed Han and 300 colonists, but it also destroyed an entire regiment of Vorthak soldiers and their equipment. Sub-Commander Talvek, now promoted after his commander died at Titan, studied the reports from Mars. The colony was taken, but at a terrible cost. They had lost more troops taking Mars than they had lost conquering 3 other worlds. These humans fight differently, he told his aide, Commander Vector. When we defeat their military, they become their own military. When we take their worlds, they destroy them rather than let us have them. They are just being stubborn, Vector replied. All weak species do this at first. Soon they will learn, but Talvek was not so sure. He had seen the recording of the human female in space, still fighting with her rifle even as she died. He had read the reports of colonists fighting to the death with mining tools and kitchen knives. This was not normal fear or anger. This was something else. On Earth, the news of Titan and Mars reached every human on the planet. Instead of panic, there was anger. Instead of calls for surrender, there were demands for war. Director Mi Young Kang of Earth's Industrial Council appeared on every television and computer screen. The aliens think they can scare us into giving up by killing our people. They are wrong. Every human who dies fighting makes the rest of us stronger. Factories across Earth stopped making consumer goods and started making weapons. Schools began teaching children how to fight. Scientists worked around the clock to study captured alien technology and find weaknesses. President Min Ho Choi spoke to the world. They have shown us what they do to human colonies. They have shown us what surrender means. Now we will show them what happens when they threaten Earth itself. In space, more human ships were being built. They were bigger than before, armed with new weapons designed from studying alien technology. The shipyards worked constantly, building humanity's new fleet. Engineer So Young Nam supervised the construction from Luna Station. She had not slept in 3 days, but she would not stop working. Every ship they built was another chance for humanity to survive. How many more can we build before they reach Earth? Asked her assistant. Not enough, So Young replied, but more than they expect. Talvek made his report to the Vorthak High Command. The conquest of the human colonies was successful, but the cost was higher than predicted. More importantly, the humans were not acting like a defeated species. They are building more ships, he reported. Their technology is improving rapidly, and their will to fight is actually getting stronger, not weaker. The High Command was not pleased. You are making excuses for your failures, Talvek. These humans are no different from any other weak species. Crush their homeworld and they will surrender like all the others. But Talvek remembered the words of the human female who died in space and the explosion that destroyed Mars' colony. He made a private note in his log. The humans bleed, yes, but they do not break. And I fear that bleeding them only makes them more dangerous. 1 year after the war began, humanity had lost half of its colonies, but something had changed. The humans were no longer the same species that the Vorthak had first encountered. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger through their suffering. General Tai Hyun Yu stood in the underground command center on Earth, looking at maps of occupied human worlds. He was no longer just a military leader. He had become something new, the commander of the Human Resistance Corps, a force that fought without rules, without mercy, and without the luxury of surrender. The aliens control the colonies, he told his officers, but they don't control the people, and that's going to be their biggest mistake. On occupied Proxima Colony, Resistance Cell leader Yoonji Lim crouched in the ruins of what used to be a shopping center. With her was saboteur Jin Woo Cha, a former engineer who now specialized in making alien equipment explode in creative ways. The supply depot is heavily guarded, Jinwoo whispered. 20 alien soldiers plus automated defenses. How long do you need to plant the charges? Hyunji asked. 5 minutes if nothing goes wrong. Hyunji smiled grimly. When does anything go right in this war? The Vorthak had expected to rule Proxima Colony easily after conquering it 6 months ago. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy they could not see or catch. Human resistance fighters struck at night, destroyed supplies during the day, and vanished like ghosts before reinforcements could arrive. Commander Zeth Ral, the Vorthak officer in charge of Proxima, was growing frustrated. He had conquered 12 worlds before this one, but none had given him so much trouble. Why do these humans keep fighting? He asked his aide. We destroyed their military. We control their cities. What more do they want? His aide, a young officer named Keth Vaughn, had been studying human behavior. I think, sir, that they want us to leave. Impossible. No conquered species has ever forced the Vorthak to retreat. But that night, Jinwoo's explosives destroyed 3 months of supplies in one massive blast. And the next morning, Yunji's team ambushed a patrol, killing 5 alien soldiers before disappearing into the civilian population. Back on Earth, Dr. Shung Ho Kwon worked in a laboratory buried deep underground. Around him, scientists from every human nation studied captured Vorthak technology, trying to understand how it worked and how to make it better. I think I've found something, he announced to his team. The aliens use neural interfaces to control their equipment. If we can copy that technology and adapt it for human use, we could make our soldiers faster and stronger, finished Dr. Eugene Kim, his research partner. Exactly. But more than that, we could make our soldiers think faster, react quicker, fight better. The neural-linked combat suits were ready just in time. Captain Insu Lee received the first prototype as his unit prepared to retake Europa Station. The station had been lost 3 months ago, and the aliens were using it as a major supply base. How does it feel? Asked his Sergeant Dongwoo Park as Captain Lee tested the new armor. Strange, Lee replied. I can feel the suit like it's part of my body, and the tactical display is showing me things I never noticed before. The attack on Europa Station began at dawn. Captain Lee led 50 human soldiers against 300 alien defenders. The odds were bad, but the humans had learned to use bad odds as a weapon. The new combat suits worked better than anyone had hoped. Human soldiers moved faster, shot more accurately, and coordinated their attacks with machine-like precision, but they still fought with human courage and determination. The battle for Europa Station lasted 18 days. The aliens had superior numbers and better weapons, but the humans had something the aliens could not understand: the willingness to keep fighting no matter how hopeless things looked. Medic Yu Jin Moon worked in the station's medical bay, treating wounded soldiers while alien bombs exploded around her. She had been offered evacuation 5 times and refused each time. Ma'am, we need to get you out of here, begged Corporal Min Jun Lee as another explosion shook the building. These soldiers need medical care, Yu Jin replied calmly, bandaging a wounded fighter. I'm staying, but you could die. Yu Jin looked up from her patient. Son, we're all going to die eventually. The question is whether we die doing something important. She saved 47 lives during the siege, working without sleep, without rest, without complaint. On the 18th day, a plasma blast finally destroyed the medical bay. They found her body still holding medical supplies, trying to reach one more wounded soldier. Captain Lee and 12 other humans were the only survivors when Europa Station was finally retaken. They had held against impossible odds for over 2 weeks, and their victory sent a message across human space. The aliens could be beaten. Talvek, now promoted to War Prime after his commanders kept dying in human attacks, studied the reports from Europa with growing unease. The humans were not just fighting harder, they were fighting smarter. They are learning from every battle, he told the Vorthak High Command via communication link. Their technology is improving rapidly. Their tactics are becoming more sophisticated, and their will to resist is actually growing stronger. You exaggerate their abilities, replied High Commander Mortak from the Vorthak homeworld. They are a primitive species. They cannot match our empire's power. Respectfully, High Commander, I have fought these humans for over a year. They do not surrender when defeated. They do not break when pressured. They adapt, they learn, and they become more dangerous with every battle. Then you will crush them completely, destroy their cities, kill their leaders, make them understand the price of resistance. But Talvek knew it would not be that simple. He had seen human mothers teaching their children to make bombs. He had watched human scientists working in laboratories while bombs fell on their cities. He had read reports of human soldiers fighting with broken bones and dying breath. That night he made another entry in his private log. The High Command does not understand what we face. These humans are not like other species we have conquered. When we hurt them, they become angrier. When we kill their leaders, others step forward. When we destroy their weapons, they make new ones from scraps. I begin to fear that this war cannot be won through conventional means. On Earth, President Min-ho Choi stood before the Global Assembly. He looked older than his years, worn down by the weight of leading humanity through its darkest hour, but his voice was still strong. "My fellow humans," he said, "we have bled much in this war. We have lost friends, family, and entire worlds. The aliens think this suffering will make us weak. They are wrong." He held up a piece of metal, debris from a destroyed human ship. This came from the UES Defiance, destroyed defending Titan Station. But look at it carefully. See how it's been shaped by battle, scarred by enemy fire. It is not weaker for having been in battle. It is harder. It is stronger. It is more determined. He set down the metal and looked directly into the cameras broadcasting his speech across human space. "We are like this metal. Every attack makes us harder. Every loss makes us stronger. Every battle teaches us how to fight better. They may bleed us, but they will never break us. And eventually, they will learn what happens when you try to destroy something that refuses to die." The message was intercepted by Vorthak intelligence and translated for their commanders. Most dismissed it as propaganda, but Talvek read it carefully and felt a chill run through his body. He was beginning to understand that the Vorthak Empire had made a terrible mistake. They had not just attacked another species, they had awakened something that should have been left alone. 3 years into the war, the Vorthak Empire faced something they had never encountered before, a species that became more dangerous the longer they fought. Fleet Admiral Dong-Hyun Song stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, humanity's new flagship, built in secret shipyards hidden in asteroid fields. "Admiral," reported Commander Soo-Jin Bae, "all stealth ships are in position. The enemy has no idea we're here," Song nodded. The human fleet looked nothing like the ships that had first faced the Vorthak. These vessels were built from captured alien technology, powered by human determination, and crewed by people who had learned to fight in the hardest school possible: survival. "Remember," Song told his fleet commanders, "we're not just fighting for victory today. We're proving that humans cannot be conquered." Chief Constructor Hae-Young Kim watched from the hidden shipyard at Asteroid Base 7 as the fleet departed. She had spent 3 years building these ships with salvaged metal, stolen technology, and the help of workers who labored 20 hours a day without complaint. "Think they'll win?" asked her assistant Young-Ho Nam. "They're human," Hae-Young replied. "That means they'll find a way." The target was Kepler Station, a major Vorthak supply hub that fed their war machine. Commander Soo-Jin Bae had studied the station for 2 years, learning every detail of its defenses, every weakness in its design. "This is how we do it," she told her crew. "Fast, hard, and unexpected. We hit them before they know we're there, and we don't stop hitting until the job is done." The attack began at 300 ship time. Human stealth ships appeared from nowhere, striking at Vorthak vessels that had thought they were safe behind their defenses. The aliens had grown comfortable, believing human forces were too weak and scattered to mount a serious attack. They were wrong. Pilot Junho No flew his fighter through the enemy formation, his ship's weapons cutting through alien armor like fire through paper. Next to him, Navigator Mi Kyung-an coordinated the attack with mechanical precision. "Target the command ship," she told Junho. "If we can destroy their communications, the rest of the fleet will be helpless." "I see it," Junho replied. "But it's heavily shielded. Our weapons won't punch through." Mi Kyung smiled grimly. "Then we don't use weapons." Junho understood immediately. They were going to ram the alien command ship with their fighter. It was suicide, but it would work. "You sure about this?" he asked. "I'm sure we're human," Mi Kyung replied. "That's enough." Their fighter crashed into the Vorthak command vessel at full speed. The explosion destroyed both ships and left the alien fleet confused and leaderless. Human ships swarmed over them like wolves attacking a wounded bear. The battle was over in 4 hours. Kepler Station was destroyed. along with 6 months of supplies and 40 alien warships. The humans had lost 12 ships and 300 crew members. But they had proven something important. They could strike deep into alien territory and win. On Earth, War Production Director Boram Seo watched the news reports with satisfaction. The planet had been transformed into a fortress world, with every city designed to resist invasion and every citizen trained to fight. "How many new ships this month?" she asked her aide, Training Sergeant Chang Woo-yoon. 60 completed, 40 more under construction, he replied. "And we have 2 million new volunteers for military service." 2 million? Boram was surprised. "The recruiting centers must be very busy." "Ma'am, we're not recruiting anymore. People are just showing up and demanding to serve. They want to fight." This was true across human space. The war had changed humanity in ways no one had expected. Instead of breaking under pressure, they had become harder. Instead of giving up hope, they had found strength in their anger. Sergeant Yoon trained these volunteers with a simple motto: "Pain is temporary, surrender is forever." The words were painted on every training facility, every barracks, every ship in the human fleet. Talvek, now bearing scars from multiple encounters with human forces, read the intelligence reports in his private quarters. The humans were not just surviving, they were winning. Their technology had advanced faster in 3 years than most species advanced in centuries. He made a decision that would have been unthinkable a year ago. He contacted Ambassador Hyosung Kang, humanity's chief negotiator, using a secret communication channel. "I wish to discuss terms," Talvek transmitted. The response came 12 hours later, not from Ambassador Kang, but from President Ji-hai Ro, who had taken office after President Choi died in the liberation of Mars. "There are no terms," President Ro said simply. "Withdraw from all human worlds immediately, or we will come to your homeworld and remove you ourselves." Talvek stared at the message in shock. The humans were threatening to attack the Vorthak homeworld, something no enemy had ever dared attempt in 3,000 years of empire. He forwarded the message to the Vorthak High Command, along with his recommendation to consider peace negotiations. The response was swift and brutal. Talvek was branded a traitor and sentenced to death for defeatist thinking. As he was led to his execution, Talvek spoke his final words to the assembled Vorthak commanders. "I tried to warn you about these humans. They do not know how to surrender. They do not know how to give up. And now, because of your arrogance, neither can we. This war will not end until one of our species is extinct." The execution was broadcast to the entire Vorthak fleet as a warning against defeatist thinking. But many young Vorthak officers had served under Talvek and respected his judgment. His words spread through the fleet like a virus, planting seeds of doubt about the war's outcome. On Earth, news of Talvek's execution reached human leaders through intercepted alien communications. President Ro read the report in her office, surrounded by maps showing human and alien positions throughout the galaxy. "He was trying to end the war," said Admiral Song, who had returned from his successful raid. "Maybe we should have listened." "No," President Ro replied firmly. "They had their chance to end this peacefully 3 years ago. They chose war. Now they live with the consequences." She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. Earth's capital had been rebuilt twice during the war, each time stronger than before. The buildings were designed to survive orbital bombardment. The streets were laid out to channel enemy forces into kill zones. The entire city was a weapon. "Admiral," she said, "how long until our new fleet is ready?" 6 months, ma'am. 100 ships with the latest technology. Good, because in 6 months we're going to do something no one expects. We're going to take the war to their homeworld." Admiral Song was quiet for a moment. "Ma'am, attacking their homeworld? That's never been done before." "Exactly," President Ro replied. "They think their homeworld is safe. They think we're too weak and too few to threaten them directly. They're wrong on both counts." She turned from the window to face him. "Admiral, 3 years ago they told us to surrender or be destroyed. We chose to fight. Now we're going to show them what that choice really means." Across human space, the message went out to every ship, every station, every colony that had survived the Vorthak invasion. The humans were no longer defending. They were attacking. The Vorthak had awakened something terrible and beautiful, a species that refused to accept defeat, that grew stronger through suffering. that turned every loss into a lesson and every victory into a stepping stone to the next battle. The tide of war was turning red with alien blood, and the humans were just getting started. 5 years after first contact, the human fleet gathered at the edge of Vorthak space preparing for the final battle. Supreme Commander Young-Soo Kang stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, named after the first ship lost in the war. Around him, 300 human vessels waited for the order to attack the Vorthak homeworld. "All ships report ready," announced his aide, Captain Yan-Woo Park. "The fleet is prepared for the assault." Young-Soo looked at the tactical display showing Vorthak Prime, the alien capital world that had never been threatened by an enemy fleet. Today that would change. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered. "Today we finish what they started 5 years ago. Today we prove that some things are worth any price." The journey to Vorthak Prime took 3 days. During that time, human ships moved through space like a deadly river, carrying with them the anger and determination of an entire species. They passed the destroyed remnants of human colonies, the graveyards of earlier battles, the memorials to friends who had died rather than surrender. On the UES Vengeance, Captain Yan-Woo Park checked her ship's weapons for the 10th time that day. Her vessel had been damaged in the fight for Europa Station, but the crew had refused to abandon it. They had rebuilt it into something stronger, something deadlier. "Captain," said her weapons officer, Lieutenant Jin Young-ko, "all systems are operational. We're ready for anything they can throw at us." "Good," Park replied, "because they're going to throw everything." The Vorthak had gathered their remaining fleet around their homeworld, over 800 ships, the last military force of their empire. Emperor Torvak himself commanded the defense from his flagship, a massive vessel that had never seen defeat in 50 years of war. When the human fleet appeared on their sensors, many Vorthak officers could not believe what they were seeing. How had these primitive creatures built such a large force? How had they traveled so far into Vorthak territory without being detected? "Impossible," Emperor Torvak said as he studied the tactical display. "They cannot have this many ships. Our intelligence report said the humans were nearly defeated." His aide, War Prime Gektal, had been reviewing those same reports. "Your Majesty, I believe our intelligence may have been wrong. The humans have been hiding their true strength." "It doesn't matter," the Emperor declared. "We still outnumber them. We still have superior technology. We will crush them here and end this war." But as the battle began, it became clear that the humans had learned more than anyone had expected. Their ships moved with precision, their weapons struck with deadly accuracy, and their tactics were unlike anything the Vorthak had faced before. Captain Park led a squadron of 12 ships in a direct attack on the Emperor's flagship. Enemy fire tore through space around them, destroying 3 human vessels in the first minute of combat. But the survivors pressed forward. "We're taking heavy damage," reported her engineer, Senior Chief Minho Song. "Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. We've lost main power to the forward weapons." "Switch to backup power," Park ordered. "We're not stopping." Her ship shuddered under enemy fire, but she kept it on course toward the Vorthak flagship. Around her, other human ships were also driving forward, trading their lives for the chance to strike at the heart of the alien fleet. Marine Colonel Sun Hee-yang led the ground assault team preparing to board the alien command ship. She had fought on 6 different worlds during the war, losing pieces of herself in each battle. Her left arm was mechanical, her right leg was synthetic, and half her face was covered in scars. "Remember," she told her Marines as they prepared to launch, "we don't need to survive this. We just need to win it." The boarding pods fired from the human ships carrying Marines through the deadly space between the fleets. Many pods were destroyed by enemy fire, but some made it through. Colonel Yang's pod crashed into the side of the Vorthak flagship, and she led her surviving Marines into the alien ship. The fighting inside was brutal and close. Human Marines with advanced weapons faced Vorthak soldiers in their own ship. Colonel Yang fought through corridor after corridor, leaving a trail of alien bodies behind her. She reached the ship's reactor room just as enemy reinforcements surrounded her position. Her Marines were dead, her weapons were empty, and alien soldiers were closing in. But she still had one more weapon, the explosive charges she carried for destroying enemy equipment. "Tell them," she said into her radio as she prepared to detonate the charges. "Tell them we came, we fought, and we made them pay." The explosion crippled the Vorthak flagship and killed Colonel Yang, but it also opened the way for Lieutenant Jin Young-ko to plant the charges that would destroy the ship's command center. The battle raged for 18 hours. Human ships died by the dozens, but they took alien vessels with them. Every explosion, every death, every sacrifice brought the humans closer to victory. Captain Park's ship was burning and barely functional when she received the final order from Supreme Commander Kang. All remaining ships, prepare for final assault. We end this now. She looked around her damaged bridge at her surviving crew. They were wounded, exhausted, and outnumbered, but they were still human, and humans did not surrender. You heard the commander, she said. Let's finish this. The last phase of the battle was chaos. Human ships rammed alien vessels when their weapons ran out of power. Human crews fought hand-to-hand combat in the corridors of enemy ships. Human pilots flew damaged fighters into alien formations, destroying themselves to clear the path for others. Emperor Torvak watched his fleet die around him and finally understood what Talvek had tried to tell him. These humans were not like other species. They did not break when pressured. They did not surrender when defeated. They fought until they won, or until they died, and they seemed equally prepared for either outcome. As his flagship shuddered under human assault, the Emperor opened a communication channel to the human fleet. Supreme Commander Kang's face appeared on his screen, scarred, tired, but absolutely determined. I offer you tribute, the Emperor said desperately. Resources, territory, anything you want. Just spare my people. Kang's reply was calm and final. You had your chance for mercy 5 years ago. You chose war instead. Today you learn what happens when you awaken something that should have been left alone. The Emperor's flagship exploded 20 minutes later, taking the last organized Vorthak resistance with it. The battle was over. Humanity had won, but victory came at a terrible cost. Half the human fleet was destroyed. Millions of people had died during the 5-year war. Entire colonies were graveyards. Earth's population had been reduced by 40%. President Ji-Hai Ro stood in the memorial park on Luna Station, reading the names carved into the black stone walls. Over 2 billion humans had died rather than surrender their freedom. Each name represented a person who had chosen to fight instead of kneel. Was it worth it? Asked Memorial Director Kyung-Soon Han, who had lost her own family in the war. President Ro was quiet for a long moment. Ask me that question in 100 years, she finally said. When human children grow up free because of what these people died for. When other species think twice before threatening us because they remember what happened to the Vorthak. When the galaxy knows that some prices are too high to pay. She touched one of the names on the wall, Lieutenant Hye Jin-yang, the pilot who had died fighting in space with nothing but her rifle. They bled, President Ro said softly. They bled more than any people should have to bleed. But they never surrendered. And because of that, no one will ever ask us to surrender again. Years later, when the aggressive Kelton Empire threatened the peaceful Andrari worlds, a simple message was transmitted across their fleet. Do not attack. The humans are their allies. They will bleed, but they will never surrender, and neither will those they protect. The Kelton fleet withdrew without firing a shot. Admiral Young-Soo Kang, now old and scarred by years of war, spoke at the dedication of the Victory Memorial on Earth. His words became the foundation of humanity's new role in the galaxy. We did not want this war. We did not seek to be conquerors or destroyers. But when faced with extinction or slavery, we chose a third option. We chose to fight until freedom was secure. Let every species in the galaxy know. We are the children of Earth and we bow to no one. We will bleed before we will kneel, and we will die before we will surrender what makes us human. In the depths of space, alien monitoring stations picked up human transmissions and forwarded them across the galaxy. The message was simple but clear. Avoid the third planet of the Sol system. The creatures there do not know how to yield. Humanity's greatest victory was not conquering their enemies, but teaching the galaxy that some species should never be tested. The war was over, but the legend had just begun.